Okay, team, let's record. I got to do this. We're actually going to go about this recording-wise because all day long I have mastered this thing. I want to preview you into the world of pre-calc. Is no longer. We're done with pre-calc. In fact, what we want to do is get my screen rolling.
Do we have a test over this?
Shh. Just a second.
Test.
She's recording.
Shh.
Are you really recording?
Yes.
Oh, we're on the couch.
Cross out the pre.
Oh my gosh.
The very first thing you do today, gone with the pre. And in with the calculus. This is calculus. We have started calculus. So today's deal is minimal commentary, optimal questions. You can ask me anything, but it's got to be a question, not commentary in general. Here's what's cool about calculus. Calculus isn't so bad. I'll show you the calculus concepts. The algebra we do today is hard, and that's the theme of calculus. Algebra and calculus is hard. Calculus of calculus is not so bad. It's cool. It's kind of interesting. So as I do this, keep that in mind, and your life will be much better. All right, Squeaky's over here. You guys are going to be moved in two shakes. First things, we got this graph. What happens with this limits in motion? Average velocity is the name of the game. So I'm going to take and do some velocity calculations with you. So if you would, bear with me. Once upon a time, this is 9 years of our married life after my wife and I went to Drake, graduated, went to University of Minnesota for our master's in Minneapolis. We moved there. Lived there for 9 years. And commentary questions, distinguish between those. All right, distance in miles from home is the name of the game. We would travel from our home in Minneapolis back to Des Moines frequently. Love Des Moines. So I taught calculus in a private school, and we would make these trips. It was like a dream going to Des Moines, Iowa from Minneapolis. There's less traffic on the roads. We got into suburbia, and there was like space. Seemed like just fresh air. We loved Minneapolis, but I really dug Des Moines. So what happens, we'd make this trip. And when you travel from Minneapolis, we lived on the south side of Minneapolis near the airport and the Mall of America. At the time we moved, we had 2 children, so half the current lot. The 6-year-old, soon-to-be 7-year-old Kieran was potty training. And we got ready to move to Ames, Iowa to live in student housing at Iowa State University. It was pretty exciting. But when we traveled back, we had this potty training child, so we would get on the road. We would travel distance, and by the way, down here we have time, in hours. And when we traveled home back to Des Moines, Iowa, we would go. We were cruising at a pretty nice clip, and then we'd get to Lakeville, and somebody had to go. It wasn't so bad because we'd have to pee. There was a Super Target there. We could get supplies, and there was a Caribou, so we could get coffee. This is Lakeville, Minnesota.
Wait, we're supposed to be driving?
So, oh yeah. This is essential. Everything we do today is of most essential. I know there's a story to it, but it's because that'll help.
You're drawing just linear, right?
Yeah, so I'm going flat. I stopped in Lakeville. We changed diapers, got coffee. Are we covering a lot of distance as time? But time's still ticking.
Zero distance.
Zero distance while time transpires. Then we get in the car again and we start traveling out of Lakeville. We realize we've lost time. We pick up the pace a little bit. Steeper is faster. So I start taking off. We get going. Daddy, I have to. So you stop at Albert Lee. They have a McDonald's there. So we get McDonald's, because that's what you do with children. You feed them McDonald's. And then we continue on our trek. And then we get into Iowa at last, south of Albert Lee. And where do you pull off?
Exit 89.
View.
Where do you stop? Just south. Northern part of Iowa. The only exit we're stopping at, because it's the first McDonald's south of the border.
Exit 1.
You guys never been to, what? Mason City Clear Lake. Oh my word. What?
Me too.
Are you guys doing much traveling these days?
It just
I'll
went
drive.
to
All right, there we are, Mason City Clear Lake. From Minneapolis, Minnesota, that's our trip. We went to Lakeville, diaper change. We made our way to Albert Lee, diaper change at McDonald's, and some coffee. Then we were going to Clear Lake, Mason City. Somebody had a lot of coffee, so we stopped to get at McDonald's to get more coffee, and, well, you know. So, there we are. Mason City Clear Lake.
Really quickly. You've either been going really quickly or you've been breaking for a really long time.
Check it out. Let's go check out the map. You think I'm making this up? All right, here is the map. We lived at 5208 35th Avenue South, Minneapolis, Minnesota. There is our house.
Oh.
Nice place.
Should we check it out?
Pretty cool.
Street view. Come on, little street view man. Here we go.
You're putting this on a
Little
YouTube
Mr.
video?
Seeley, that's
Aw.
a picture of your house.
It's a picture of the house we lived in. So
Like
let's
the green one?
let's move down the street a little bit.
The green one?
Right back here, behind this,
Oh, that one.
there's our little step. Our children would hang on there. This is Chad and Sonia's house, but they've since moved to another part of Minneapolis. And they had Anna, and they have all these wonderful little Charlie children, and Nico. They have a Nico in their family. And this is Sarah and Ben's house. Sarah and Ben had really loud music and great parties. So, boy, seriously, every holiday, their backyard was the most festive thing ever. So it was really fun. But that's where we hung out. That's where our children grew up when they were very little. And then we're standing in the front yard of Matt and Lori, our good friends, who still live there. There you have it. That's the house. And I miss, some days I miss that, but I love Iowa. So that's where I'm at. Okay, so we got to scroll back. Let's do this. Street view, 5208 35th Avenue South. Directions. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to go to Clear Lake.
Your exact address.
I don't live there anymore. Now you know where Michelle
Give
lives.
it away.
I don't live there. You're welcome to know where I live. You can find
Math
it.
teacher serial killer.
It says that drive would be an hour and 55
I know, but how many diapers do these digital
Your
people
thing said
change?
25 hours.
2.5. 2.5. So go back. It's 2.5. It's the so and Clear Lake is 129 miles from Minneapolis. So let's go back to our sheet, which the key to this whole thing is I wanted to get. Do you get the idea? Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit on Mason City. The thing about going to Mason City, when I was younger, and I would always stop. Now you want to take a guess? There is a town in here after my own heart. Because when you drive by it next, you'll see this and you'll say, yep, that's Mr. Seeley right there. I used to take this exit because there was a gas station right over here. And guess what town we were going for?
Manly.
Oh, of course. Right. So now when you pass the Manly exit, think, yeah, good old Mr. Seeley. He was a real man. You like that exit. But that's how you go to Luther College if you guys go to Luther. You exit Manly. Isn't that cool? Go toward Luther. I recommend it. So lots of information today. Now let's get back to the calculus. Here's the graph. In 2.5 hours, look at the ground that I covered. I got to Clear Lake. Now, we're going to change our data a little bit. This says 120 up here. Would you change that to a 9? That's 129, right? We just measured it. So in 2.5 hours, we went 129 miles. Now, you guys have done road trips for years. You're experienced road trippers. You go 2.5 hours, 129 miles. What information do you calculate in your brains? What do you guys want to do?
Miles per hour.
Miles per hour. How fast you went. So you get a calculator out and you went, 129 divided by 2.5. How fast is that, by the way?
6.
Grab a calculator for me. You're going to need one in 2 seconds anyway. Grab a calculator. My computer's starting to hiccup. 51.6, Taylor. And that is miles per hour on average. Now, tell me a story here. So, Tim, did I go 51.6 miles per hour at every moment of my trip?
Yes.
Tim. Did I go 51.6 miles per hour when I was at the gas station in Lakeville? No.
Yes.
Did I do it when I was pulling through Albert Lee going to the McDonald's at the gas station? No. Was I going 51.6 miles per hour at the second McDonald's? No. Was I going 51.6 miles per hour, Jackson, right there? I was going a little faster. If we're going to average 51.6 after having gone 0 is going, this is 0 miles in that time. That's 0 miles per hour. So somewhere between there, Mr. Seeley was doing a questionable amount of speeding. We want to say he was going bigger than 51.6 miles per hour, not to be disclosed. But the idea is, if you actually go in and calculate 129 divided by 2.5, you're giving me the slope of this line. That is called average miles per hour is something we call the slope of the secant line. And that is huge. And that means average rate of change. Did it tell me how fast I was going at every little moment? Absolutely not. Did it tell me how fast I was going in general on the trip? Yes. That's a big discrepancy. So in green here, I'm going to say, what if I wanted to know, or maybe the officer of the law wants to know how fast is this minivan traveling? Here, at this particular moment in time, he would look at, let's say GPS plotted my distance from our home in Minneapolis every moment of my trip. GPS can do that, by the way. It can plot your distance from a location all the way along. This would be the curve. If I want to know how fast my speedometer read at the moment right there in green, that's my speedometer reading. It might have read something in the ballpark of 79.5 miles per hour because I just wanted to keep up with traffic. There were still other minivans flying past me because that's just how it is in Minnesota.
What's the word?
So 79.5 mph. This is my speedometer reading. Now, I'm not going to abbreviate this as speedo reading. I tried that earlier and that didn't seem to go over very well. So speedometer reading. That's a different kind of, that's known as instantaneous rate of change. That's your at a moment.
I think the speedometer is one.
It's okay. Instantaneous rate, speedometer reading, average rate of change is kind of like, in general, I made this trip so many miles in a certain amount of time. The big deal is you got to understand the difference between average rate of change and the slope of a secant versus instant rate of change and the slope of a tangent. So I'm going to put up here slope of tangent. Thank you for having geometry and knowing what that means, tangent line. And slope of a secant is the one between 2 points. All right, we're going to stop.